Right.
But let's talk about the first Brian Johnson album that was not produced by Mutt Lange, Flick of the Switch.
Mm.
Now, Flick of the Switch, to me, AC/DC fell into a little bit of a pattern in the 80s and 90s to where I don't think there's one bad Bon Scott song, aka a Bon Scott song, that I really don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes as well for Back in Black, obviously. And then even when you start getting into For Those About to Rock, there's a couple of the Night of the Long Knives that kind of get a little bit like,
yeah. Right.
Flick of the Switch is a perfect example of an 80s AC/DC record. And the fact they self-produced it after having Mutt Lange, kind of put them under lockdown, shall we say. But there are 3 of my favorite AC/DC songs on Flick of the Switch, and they never fucking play them. I started going to see AC/DC on the Who Made Who tour in 1985. I saw Who Made Who. I saw Heat Seeker, Blow Up Your Video. I saw Razor's Edge. I've seen Ball Breaker. I've seen every one. They've never fucking played.
After that tour, yeah. And what's crazy, I talked to Simon Wright about this a couple of days ago, and, obviously that was his first tour with the band. And they actually, on that tour, they did at least 8 of the 10 songs live, and which is crazy for AC/DC because they never do more than 3 or 4 tops. But
That's
they
true.
did almost that whole album live on that tour. But yeah, next tour rolls around and it's just all gone.
Well, and let me give you my 3: Rising Power,
Mm-hmm.
Flick of the Switch, and Guns for Hire. Those 3 songs are, to me, up there with the best AC/DC songs, up there with High Voltage and fucking Back in Black, and you name it. They are classic tunes. I would love if they would just throw one of them in there, just one. Guns for Hire is so fucking great, man.
What a set opener, man. Yeah, what a set opener that was. That was so cool. What I read too, which I thought was interesting. A guy brought up, and it was in actually Martin's AC/DC album by album book, where he thought that somebody screwed up at the record label and they flipped the sides. Guns for Hire should have started with that, and that totally makes sense. It's like,
that should be the opening tune. But like I said, then you start getting down there with your, I call it the three, actually the 4 Bs, the brutal B songs, Bedlam in Belgium, Badlands, and Brain Shake. And it's just like, you understand. But my point is, listen, with AC/DC, it hurts to say it, but if you get 3 or 4 great songs on an AC/DC record, that's okay with me, because they're never going to play the rest anyways.
Right.
So those 3 are just 3 awesome tunes. And like I said, I think that album's a little bit underrated because they don't ever play anything from it. The cover is a little bit lame, the white cover with the outline.
Right.
I think they were just sick of being kind of under corporate rock rules and just said, fuck it, we're just going to do things our own way. And that's fine, but it does have those 3 tunes on it.
Yeah, I mean, that record to me as well, it was kind of they almost kind of had to hit the reset button a little bit. They did 3 in a row with Mutt Lange, and then it was kind of like, all right. And For Those About to Rock, I like that record, but that's a weird record though too, because it's kind of getting too far into Mutt Lange land a little bit, where it's like it's getting too kind of polished. Like the guitars aren't as sharp. It's not as like the
you
sound
can tell. And you can tell that's like the kind of the rose, the bloom is off the rose at that point. That's why I said this, a couple kind of filler tracks came in there. And also too, it's funny when you listen to, I was listening to Touch Too Much, for example, or even Giving the Dog a Bone, those background vocals. It took me a while to realize that's not like Malcolm and fucking Angus in the studio. That's that's the exact same vocal that you'll hear on Hysteria and you'll hear on Waking Up the Neighbors, and you know what I mean? Touch too much.
Right.
There's no Malcolm going up and doing that. And then you start realizing these are so heavily Mutt Lange tunes, which is great. But I'm sure same point when DC worked with Rick Rubin, they're like, fuck this. We don't want this shit. I remember Malcolm said something like, this album maybe took 2 or 3 weeks to record, and he said it would take Mutt Lange 2 or 3 weeks to get the drum sound.
Yeah.
We're AC/DC. We're not going to deal with that shit anymore. So
no, I do. I think I like Flick of the Switch as well. There's some really good tunes. I think Landslide's an underrated song on there too, which is more of an upbeat one and stuff. And
like I said, I mean, I like the record because besides the 3 Bs, it's all pretty cool, but it's got those 3 monstrous songs that to me are just all killer tunes.